So I gave this talk first at the Great Strides meeting in 2010, and recently I've been asked to repeat it again. So I'm going to talk about the function of the new Vertex drugs and how they treat the root cause of cystic fibrosis. So first I need to talk about how a healthy cell functions. This is my epithelial cell, also known as a mucous membrane cell. They line the sinuses, lungs, digestive tract, all the places where people with CF have problems. So 3 things need to happen. The CFTR protein is perfectly formed in the cell. Then it needs to move to the cell membrane, where it acts as a channel for chloride, salt, sodium chloride. These are chloride ions, need to exit the cell. CFTR can be thought of as a channel. So the CFTR protein provides a channel for the chloride ions to exit the cell. It sounds a little bit counterintuitive, but depositing chloride on the surface of the cell chemically draws water to it. So by allowing the chloride to exit the cell, you're actually drawing water to the surface of the cells and providing that nice moist lubrication that you need to make your lungs and your digestive system function properly. So then on to the Vertex drugs. I'm going to use Brady's mutations because they happen to be the ones that the Vertex drugs are being developed for. So VX770, that was just talked about in the news recently, is known as a potentiator. Brady's G551D mutation causes a specific dysfunction in the cell. That's why these new drugs are mutation specific. With G551D, the CFTR protein is made here in the cell. It travels to the membrane where it's supposed to be, but then instead of being this nice open channel, it's not open. It's been likened to a rusty gate that just doesn't open and close properly, so the chloride is still unable to exit the cell. What VX770 does is it is the WD-40 for this rusty gate. When treated with VX770, the gate opens, the chloride is allowed to flow again, and instead of treating the mucus and all of the symptoms that come from CF, you're restoring the function of the faulty protein and probably eliminating a lot of the symptoms of CF. So then a lot of people have asked, well, what about my child that has, delta F508 or double delta F508, which is the most common mutation of CF. And this is actually a really rare one. Only about 4% of people with CF have this one. Almost everyone has the delta F508 mutation. So people have asked, well, VX770 didn't work that well on delta F508. But don't worry, because they never anticipated VX770 alone to work that well on this mutation. It wouldn't. Here's what happens. With the delta F508, the CFTR protein is produced here in the cell, and it's faulty. It's recognized as trash by the cell, put directly into the trash can, and it never makes it to the cell membrane. So you can imagine that it's not going to do any good to spray WD-40 on a gate that isn't there. So that's why they're working on the VX809 corrector compound. What the corrector compound is designed to do is to go into this trash can, dumpster dive, retrieve the CFTR, escort it to the surface. Then you can treat it with the WD-40, the VX770, to make sure that gate is open and restoring that chloride transport. So people ask, well, what if, what if my child has one delta F508 and then one other mutation that's not listed here? Would treating just one of the mutations be enough or help? Brady, the VX770 is going to be available to Brady much sooner than the 809. So, yes, as a carrier, I only have 50% functional CFTR, and they estimate that you need between 10 and 25% to sort of eliminate a lot of the worst symptoms. So by having one of your mutations treated, you can have hope to have a more normal existence